I always say this: love, life, and business, money, all have the same principles. So
Hmm.
if you were dating someone or you were married, you can't just go in and out whenever you want. You can't just bounce
Right.
for 6 months, come back later like nothing happened,
Yeah. Yeah. And
right?
yeah, I've definitely seen that before too, right? So,
Hmm.
where people
I
treat
mean,
their
I've
business
done
as
it.
like,
Right. I've done it too. So I'm speaking, because I know, because I've done it in my personal experience. So let's say you disappear for 3, 4, 5 months, you come back, you're starting from the beginning again, because you weren't consistent throughout.
hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm super excited for today's episode. I have a special guest, Johanna Mirpuri of Berry Group, and she's had a quite a journey in the insurance industry where she got in through one of the MLM companies and eventually found her niche. She's also Mama Cuisine. She's been on TV. She works her business alongside her marketing business and being Mama Cuisine. And so, just excited for a super great conversation and how she integrates her business and her journey as well. But Johanna, I'm so super excited to have you today. I know we've been talking for a little bit. We met what about year and a half ago, maybe?
Yeah, a year and a half ago, almost 2 years.
Yeah, and what caught my attention with you is you work with high individuals, high net worth individuals and business owners, right?
Yes.
Awesome. And tell me a little bit, like from how did you find that niche? Was it something you started in? Was it something, I know when you got in the insurance industry,
Hmm.
you're brand new, right? Just like everybody
Hmm.
else.
Hmm.
Tell us a little bit about that journey and how you found your niche.
Yeah. Like many people, you don't just land in it. A lot of times in insurance, this is well known. This is usually someone's second, third, or fourth career, right? Or they're trying something new on the side. It's something that people dabble in, on the side, just to see if they can do it, right? Because it's a very practical business, very practical industry. It makes sense. But most people, probably 90% of brokers and agents are start off part-time. So I'm no different than anyone else. In 2018, prior to that, since 2009, you mentioned Mama Cuisine. So before social media and influencers and all these things online, I had my cooking show back then. This was the emerging things of YouTube, and so I started a cooking show. I grew up multicultural. Food has always been a part of me. I was in the restaurant industry before my cooking show, so I've had many different versions of myself. I was a corporate trainer and a restaurant manager for fine dining and casual dining concepts, and just grew that and realized, I was really like a theater geek in high school. So I know how to be in front of people and I know how to cook. Those are two passions of mine. And I put them together and created Mama Cuisine. And it worked, right? I guess people love my personality on television, on video. And I just kept going and found a new identity in that.
And you've been
But mhm,
you've been featured on WGN, right?
WGN, Fox, oh, so many. Some
Yeah,
some
okay.
channels, some local. Uh, I do a lot of morning talk shows. So I did morning
That's
talk shows in Los Angeles, Seattle, Portland, um, oh gosh, New York. So many places, which I'm very fortunate. I don't take it lightly. It's a hard television media is not a simple thing to get into. So it's been really nice, and I'm still doing it today in a different scale. But I built that brand, Mama Cuisine, from scratch. I'm very proud of it. So in 2018, that was probably, I want to say, a year or two after my divorce. Just like many people, something happens in your life. And me in particular, I'm thinking, man, what if my 15 minutes, or what if I don't want to do this anymore? I don't want to be Mama Cuisine anymore. This is my main source of income. I was making a lot. But of course, I'm thinking, now being divorced, with the three little kids, me and my ex husband, we're working through so much. I want to make sure that I have another business. I'm not against working a 9 to 5, but I do encourage not working. I'm not above it. I'm not above it. If I had to, I would, right? I'm
Right.
not above it. I'm not too good for it. However, I always encourage people because in my personal life, I have made the most money using my talents. I've made the most money using my not even skills, because skills could be taught, but talent is something inside of you. And so to me, insurance was just practical. One of these MLM IMO companies, I was fortunate enough that I had a friendship with one of their chief distributing officers. So that's someone at the very top of the company. And that's how I was introduced to insurance, and so I trusted this person very much. And so and I was in a space in my life, and I really looked at it and thought, this is so practical for me to start a business. And I know that I will never be poor because I'm helping people. I'll never run out of money. Everyone needs insurance. We all know this, right? Everyone needs insurance. This is something so practical. I could have something while I still grow my Mama Cuisine and all my hopes and dreams, and sell insurance, low key on the side, so I could pay my bills and not worry. That's how it started. And I know many people can feel me on that, because that's how a lot of people get into this. But
Real quick,
as Mhm.
what was it about the insurance business in particular that attracted you to use or go into insurance versus maybe trying something different?
Yeah. When it comes to businesses, I knew very early on, there's the business that I was in, which is entertainment, right? So,
Mhm.
I mean, what am I gonna be like, Kim Kardashian? That's not gonna happen, and I don't want that, right? Or I could do a business that people need. And I knew from the very beginning, these boring businesses make the most money. So it's not what people think, right? So a lot of times you're thinking first, how do I make money? How do I make money? Because you're kind of in a survival mode, or you're thinking my plan B, let me get I want to, which is totally normal. And so I thought, insurance makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Everybody needs it. um it's practical. And at this point, I have one business that's pretty impractical:
Right.
media, television. And thank God I was making a lot there, but it's still pretty impractical. Most people cannot, you can't really duplicate Mama Cuisine per se. I guess now you kind of can with all these influencers, but insurance is very duplicatable. Someone could teach it to me, and I can take the foundation and make it, tweak it so it has my personality, but it's a duplicatable business. I could pass it down to my kids. My kids can't be Mama Cuisine. They can't. It's just me. And if I'm not in front of the camera, there is no Mama Cuisine unless I'm the one cooking it. I can't really distribute myself unless I have products, right? Pots and
Right.
pans or whatever. But these are things that people want, not people need. So I'm thinking, if I have one business that is kind of impractical, it's entertainment, and I have another business, because you can do more than one thing, guys. Okay, so don't feel like you have to be stuck being a nurse or an engineer or whatever you're doing right now. You can do multiple things. We're people are multifaceted. We have different talents. Anyway, and I'm thinking, if I had one practical business, then I'm covering my bases of a very practical, down to earth business. That's why I love insurance. It's very down to earth at its most basic level, right? Protecting people.
Yeah, you said something there, and I tell all the new agents this because when you're in business, right,
Mm-hmm.
and you call it practical and impractical, but I always tell people you're providing services to other people, right?
Correct.
And those services have to bring value or you're not in business anymore.
Correct.
And so you have to either give them what they want or
Mm-hmm.
you have to give them what they need. And the two
Mm-hmm.
examples I can think of real quick are like Starbucks is something you want, right? Nobody
No one
needs a
needs.
$7 cup of coffee. Um,
Right.
and then a hospital is is a service that people need, right? They're injured, they're sick, but nobody wants to go there, right? And
Right.
so what I like about insurance is it's actually the best of both worlds because
Yeah.
people need a plan, right? A financial plan. They
Mm-hmm.
need
Mm-hmm.
uh products to help protect them. But they also want to get ahead, They
Yeah.
want those things in place. And so it's like
Yeah.
it's the best of both worlds in this business. So I think that's a perfect way to explain it. I do like that you. So it sounds like your main focus was more the scalability or the duplication, and then legacy as well.
Yeah. And I wanted something I could do long term that doesn't depend on my looks. It doesn't depend on my popularity. It doesn't depend how many likes I get online. It doesn't matter how many views I get. I mean, being in that world is exhausting. I've been in that world since 2009. So I wanted something that doesn't depend on those things, because I can help someone with the most basic policy or the most intricate, very affluent person in the middle of nowhere. Doesn't They don't care if I'm Mama Cuisine or not. They just care that I have the solutions. I'm very professional. I can actually meet them where they're at, help them. And it doesn't matter, right? Of course, there's other things, but it doesn't, I don't have to be like a character. I could just be myself. I already have a big character, a big personality, right? So I really love that aspect. And that was back in 2019. And I didn't think I would love it this much. And to be honest with you, in the beginning, with my very first mentor at that first IMO that I was at, I'm thinking I'm not like that smart. Like, I'm not like a numbers person. I hated math. Like, I was even embarrassed. Like, I'm gonna help people with their finances. This is crazy. Like, I'm not qualified for this. I know how people feel, right? So people who are watching this right now, in the beginning, you feel that way, right? Who am I
Yeah.
to talk to someone? But it's a the more you are in this business, the more you learn how money works. It makes you smarter even with your own personal finances, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I know that it's a stretch for a lot of people because it is practical. They're thinking, I absolutely can do this, but because you've never done it before, you never went to school for finance, you're not a Yale graduate in intricate corporate taxes. It's like I'm just an average person. So
Yeah.
so I never thought I would be here and build my own, kind of my own agency, my own practice, right? In insurance. I never thought. I just thought, let me just get through this divorce situation. Let me just get myself on a better, and whatever. I'll be done with it after a couple years. Just let me have some financial stability. I did not think that I would love it so much,
Yeah.
because I'm thinking it's kind of boring, right? And I'm very creative. But honestly, money is the most creative thing. When you start uh understanding how money works, you start to get excited how creative it actually is. For those who are watching who have creative brains, and you're in choir and theater, and you're a pretty creative person, and you're thinking, and the financial business is like for the geeks and the dorks and the people who are like, but guess what, the geeks and the dorks always make the most money. That's what they say, right? The cool kids in high school end up being the busted ones in adulthood. It's the geeks and the dorks that end up owning Amazon, right?
Right.
It's Tesla. So I like to think I'm that. So I really love the business of finance. Number one, it opened my eyes to how much we don't know, how much the average middle class, even upper middle class people, let's say each person is making 150,000, spouse, that's 300,000 in a household, but they are materialistically rich but poor in the bank, but because they have a $700,000 house, Mercedes
Right.
is in the parking lot, all the nice clothes, vacations to Greece every year, because that is average income. But at the end, they didn't realize, even though they may have good, like a 401k, and they're contributing to the typical retirement funds, they did
Yeah.
not realize that there's more out there. So that's really exciting to me, and it's very creative. Once you start to go up in your knowledge and skill set in this business of insurance, you start to also, of course, increase your clientele. um,
Yeah.
and because I've been around a lot of entrepreneurs, because I am one since 2009, a lot of business owners, it's natural that even in my insurance practice that I'm attracting the restaurateurs, the small business owners, because I know how to speak their language, because I am one of them. I know how to speak their language. I know how to identify with them because everything is about identity. But remember, in 2018, I wasn't there. I just thought I'm just gonna do this silently, quietly, sell a couple insurance policies so I could pay my rent, right? So I could like
Right.
make sure I'm not like stressed. I could rebuild my savings, right? I'm not thinking, oh, I'm gonna build an agency, I'm gonna build a practice, I'm gonna talk to, guys who own 5 restaurant locations. I'm going to talk to business owners who have businesses that are $20 million a year. I did not think that big.
Right. Right.
Uh,
Yeah.
but but
And I was
mm-hmm,
going to say, when you said speak their language, right? And I think
mm-hmm,
that's like, there's so many areas I think that just your knowledge and your background, we can help a lot of agents out. And
yeah,
one of those things is understanding, and I heard Eric Thomas say this, you got to learn how to speak their language.
correct.
And I think that's a stumbling point for a lot of new agents is they don't know how to speak the language of their clients, right?
Yeah,
They're
mm-hmm,
trying to be something they're not, and you have
right.
to develop into that. And so that's one area where we could talk about patience and being
Yeah,
willing to develop, of course, right?
yeah,
But the other thing you said was you get to learn about money too, right? So
mm-hmm,
I've always taken this business as, you know what, anything that I am going to sell, I need to understand it because I'm one of those people, I cannot sell you something that I wouldn't buy myself, right?
mm-hmm,
And so because of that, I need to understand this. So I've treated my learning process in this business, um, anything, I look at it like I would put my own money here, right? Would I put my
yeah,
own money here? Does this make sense?
yeah, yeah,
And so tell me about that process for you, Johanna, because I'm sure you mentioned like you had a lot to learn, right? And
yeah.
what was that beginning phase like, the development, the,
Mm-hmm.
kind of figuring it out at the beginning?
Mm-hmm. A lot, everything that we do is about identity, because you can only, what do they say? It's impossible for someone who's happy within themselves to make someone else miserable. Because if you're naturally a happy person within yourself, by yourself, you're going to want to spread that joy because it's coming out of you naturally because it's who you are. The opposite is also true if you're a miserable, hateful person by yourself when no one's around and you just hate your life and your entire existence. When you're around people, you will also bleed that into people because that's who you are. So in identity in this business, a lot of it has to start with ourselves because this business, and I understand why it's intimidating to a lot of people because they grew up paycheck to paycheck. They grew up not even understanding, right? They started families, got married, had no idea. Now they have a mortgage, and they don't really know how to get out or make themselves better. The way to speak people's language, first of all, you can only go as far as where you are, right? And this is why self development and growing your own personal identity matters if you want to continue to reach different levels of life, right? And by the time you're an old person, by the time you're in your 70s and 80s, you feel satisfied with yourself for the most part, right? That you continue to grow. I always think about that. I don't want to have any regrets for the most part in my life. So, where you are right now is not bad. So you definitely could speak to the level of where you are to the people who who have the same experiences, right? So you those are your first clients where you are right now. So if you were a nurse, if you're an engineer, that's the language that you speak. Those are your first clients, the people in your space, right? If you worked in a warehouse, let's say you're a warehouse manager for Amazon, you know how to speak that language of people who work in that field. You know how to you can understand the things that they go through because you have an idea of their income level. You have an idea of families who have that same jobs, right? If you
Right.
were a nurse, you understand too the life of a nurse, 14-hour days, right? So you know how to speak to them. Start there. And then as you develop yourself in this industry, because now you're learning about personal finances, and you do have to implement it with yourself. You do have to learn how to, oh man, how do I fix my income? How do I fix myself? How do I get into even just a small policy to start, so I could start doing something for myself? How can I start to stop the bleeding somehow and discipline myself more with money? That's why this business is uncomfortable for people, because money is one of those things that is very, it's a personal thing. And all of us didn't really grow up with silver spoons. Most people have to grind it for themselves, which is a good thing, but it makes you look at yourself and thinking, man, I really had no idea how this money stuff works. But your identity will grow if you stick to it, and you will start to find, like I did, find your own sweet spot of where you belong in this industry, of what you're good at. And if you really believed in it, you know, and there will be times that you're thinking, oh man, you know, and it's okay to do it part-time forever. You know, it's okay to do it
Yeah.
part-time forever, but no matter what, you have to be consistent. Even part-time, you have to treat it like a second job, because remember, it's like a relationship. I always say this: love, life, and business, money, all have the same principles. So
Hmm.
if you were dating someone, or you were married, you can't just go in and out whenever you want. You can't just bounce
Right.
for 6 months, come back later like nothing happened,
Yeah. Yeah, and
right?
I've definitely seen that before too, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
where people
I
treat
mean,
their
I've
business
done
that way.
it. Right. I've done it too. So I'm speaking, you know, because I know, because I've done it in my personal experience. So let's say you disappear for 3, 4, 5 months, you come back, you're starting from the beginning again, because you weren't consistent throughout. So even part-time, you should find some kind of consistency and say, you know what, even part-time, I should be able to do at least 4 policies a week, 4 policies a month,
Yeah,
right?
100%.
That's it. Or two, it doesn't matter, or one. Just stay consistent, pick something and stick with it, right?
Yeah,
Because you will grow eventually, in these places, in this business, um
yeah. And
and
I,
it's the mhm,
yeah, I will say something too, as somebody who mentors a lot of agents, that, and I think
mhm,
you hit it right.
mhm.
Um, Success is already in your hands,
Yeah.
right? It's
Mhm.
already there. It's already sitting there in your hands, and you just need an actual mentor. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, in this business, a lot of people don't get mentors. They get what we refer to as uplines, right? Where
Yeah. Those
they're
are
just
not
there, right? But
mentors. Yeah.
they don't actually mentor you, and they don't actually help you to uncover what's
Mhm.
already in your hands, right? Because that's the first thing I do with agents is, hey, success is already in your hands. Let's talk
Yeah.
about where you're coming from, and your natural market based on
Yeah.
your experiences and what you've been through. Because even I can look at even my worst times in life, right? You mentioned you went through divorce too, Johanna.
Yeah.
I as well. um, I can speak to that, right? I can
Yeah.
speak to being a single dad. I can speak to, raising a daughter by myself, right? And so
Right.
these are things that it equips me. So even if
Mhm.
you look at the divorce phase as, hey, that was a bad time in my life,
Yeah.
it's actually something that was for you that's now equipped
Mhm.
you, where now you can go out and help other people, right? And so
Yes.
there's really nothing. I always thought there's like really nothing good or bad. It's just, what do you do with what you've been equipped with, and
Yes.
how do we uncover that?
You don't really lose in life. You lose if you don't try. You lose when you accept that this is all it is.
Yeah,
But if you push yourself and say, no, this is impossible, that this is all my life is. That's what I think. It's impossible that this is as good as it's gonna get. If you
yeah,
think that way, you're like, it's impossible that God made me, put me on this earth, and this is all my life is. I don't think so. I
yeah,
don't think so. Right? So it's all about perspective, different perspectives. I love this industry so much because it does allow you, if something happens in your life, and it's very forgiving. So I love that this business is very forgiving, but at some point it's going to have to click in your head what you want to do. And there's honestly no wrong answer. You just have to choose and stick to it. And then maybe over time you will grow. As your identity grows, your goals evolve, right? So even if it's super part-time or full-time to part-time, or now you want to do full-time, oh, now you want to grow with more agents, or maybe you want to grow your personal pen, and you have a goal of saying, oh man, I want to be one of these top producers in the nation where they're doing, I don't know, crazy, I don't know, 100 million, whatever, crazy numbers, right? As long as you have a goal for yourself, there's no way you're gonna stay the same.
Yeah.
No
No,
matter what,
100%.
you're gonna go somewhere. You're gonna go somewhere, right? So you just have to keep going. And yes, the other side is sometimes this industry is not for everybody, and it's okay.
Yeah.
But thank
100%.
God and thank God you were afforded to see it for yourself. And now you have no regrets. You don't lose because you did it. Maybe you did it for 2 years. Maybe you did it for 5 years, and you just realize I'm at the end of my journey here. Now I want to move into something. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But give it your all, right? Like give it your all. And then you know if your life starts to change and your vision changes. Sometimes people use this as a catalyst to other things in their life. They'll say, let me make $1 million, 500,000. Insurance afforded me to build other businesses.
Yep.
I know people like that. They did like 1.4 million for like 2 3 years straight, 3 years straight, a husband and wife team, and they just did annuities and helped so many people. They did 1.4 million every single year, and after that they haven't written a policy in like 5 years because they've used that money wisely to build other, go around the world, buy out other businesses, do other things. But they have it in the back of their mind too, this business will never leave us.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I wanted you on the on to interview you
Mhm.
because you have other businesses, right? And
Yes.
I think you just mentioned something and it resonates with me because you said like God didn't put me here and this is it, right?
No,
It's
it's
like and
impossible.
I mean you and I have a similar faith, right? So like when
Yes.
I read the Bible, I see things like this world was created and then God made man and gave us dominion over the whole world. Like this world
Yeah.
was made for our enjoyment. It's our playground, right? And so
Hmm.
I think when you first get into business, which was we were talking about, right, where it's like, hey, this is hard, it's something new, there's a learning curve, but
Hmm.
eventually you get to a place where it's like, this is my playground. I get to be creative in it. I get to take
Yes.
this money and put it here and do this thing. And
Yes.
I partner with people that they own their own perfume companies. They invest in different
Exactly.
businesses, right? Like different types of people that do lots of different things with. They built a foundation with their insurance, but then they branch off to do whatever they really want to do, right? And that's one thing. It's like starting with the end in mind. But that's my favorite part is it no longer feels like work. It's like, what do I
Yeah.
get to create? Like, how far do I want to go? What
It literally doesn't feel like work.
Yeah, yeah.
Besides submitting applications, which is so easy. But it's like, oh God, right? One day I'll get an assistant to do that for me. But it is such a simple thing because 80% of the job is to have conversations.
Yeah, yeah. It really is, right? Just open your mouth.
Mhm.
Open your
That's it.
mouth.
You're just talking to people about their businesses. What are they doing? I went to my dentist the other day. He was complaining that he hasn't had a summer. He's because his practice is so big, right? So I was building up just to help him. He said he was doing his taxes and he dreads it. And I was building up our conversation just to ask him, hey, do you take advantage of any tax incentives for you? And he looks like close to retirement. You have like 5 years to go, buddy, right? And
Yeah,
so it's just in passing. So a lot of times when people start in this industry, they end up with one of the three-letter IMOs, and they're taught, I don't know, to just like talk. I don't know, talk to. It's like a little bit cheesy, talk to everyone. That's not how it really is. You have to be personalized. These conversations are personalized conversations,
Yeah.
customized. So that's one thing. It's
Let's
to,
let's talk, Johanna. Let's talk about
mm-hmm.
this a little bit because I know you and I have had uh our conversations, and we've had even like another friend involved in like the three-letter IMOs, or some people call them like the
Yes,
MLM style
yes,
insurance companies,
yeah,
right? And so
yeah, yeah,
um, our comments can be pretty funny on it.
yeah.
They crack me up. But I do want to talk about that, right? Like, what are some pros and what are some cons to
Mm-hmm,
that business model?
mm-hmm,
And then what are some things that if an agent is getting into this business that
mm-hmm,
they should watch out for?
mm-hmm. That's a really good topic. What I like, let's start with what I think is positive. It really is a good entry level way. They make the environment easy to ease into from someone who's never been in insurance. They make the environment, there's like a fun element, a game element, a sports element to it that they integrate because they know what they're doing. They know they're recruiting people um, from everyday walks of life to in an industry that is they may not have seen themselves in. And they're smart in a way that they know for that level of insurance products, just the basic level of insurance products, you're gonna be talking to everyday people, so they're recruiting uh, typical workers, right, to be part of their agency or their MLM. To It's more of a recruiting style to just get
Right.
as many people as possible and sell the simplest policies possible. So they are able to distribute the products at a very large rate. Um, and it's I am grateful that I experienced that because I saw a lot, and I'm very grateful that I was recruited and had someone at the very top because I had a level of protection and insight to things that no one will see. Most people will never see.
Right.
And a lot of times, the only way you even see that high is if you qualify for it, which people know what I'm talking about if you're in that. But because I had an inside loop, I got to see a lot of things, and that's just God. That's just God's what do they call it? That's just God's favor in my life, which I don't speak ill because it was part of where I am today. If I did not go there, I would not be where I am today. Right. So that's the good thing. It's entry level. You get to go in, you get to understand. However, that's all it is. It's entry level. You're not really going to grow into a true insurance professional, really dissecting. If you want to go into high, like a true professional where people with millions of dollars will trust you and sit with you as a true advisor of insurance, right? A true insurance professional where you can help them incentivize their money, give them guarantees with certain things, help them have business tax incentives at the end of the year while funding their retirement or giving them access to cash so they can continue to grow their business. They don't do that there. It's more for entry level basic policies, and that's fine, but that's all it will ever be um over there, right? And one thing that I would find um this may be off-putting is because they do very much enforce the recruitment of your family members, your friends, because it's their model is more of the fees of people being recruited if they have to pay, um showing that they have X amount of licenses per year to the carriers, um and the way that they distribute insurance is through recruitment, right? Because if I recruit 10 people, part of my incentive to get to a certain level is to make sure these 10 people have policies as well. So not only am I recruiting them, they're also clients of mine. That's the way they distribute insurance.
Right.
versus in the real world outside of that bubble, that's not how that works, right? Like a true insurance business where you are independent and you are running your own practice, whether from home or having your own small office. Maybe you're just doing it by yourself, or maybe you have 2 or 3 agents. I know someone who I connected with. He has a health insurance agency out here in St. Charles. It's just him and his wife and an assistant, and he makes $500,000 a year. He's made $500,000 a year for like 20 years.
Yeah.
And he's totally okay with it. He's not recruiting nothing. He loves what he does. People know him in his community. They have I'm sure they have a lead system and things like that where they're talking to clients. He makes $500,000 a year, goes golfing, shows that he's not trying to be making $10 million, $2 million. He's living an above average life. Right.
Yeah.
And he's happy with that. So a lot of times they're told you could be a millionaire, you could be a millionaire, but a lot of these guys have never even seen $100,000. So that's where it gets tricky, of the identity. So you really have to have your own identity.